What's up, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of One More Entry, your spot for daily fantasy strategy and insight. I'm your host, Leonard Beal, and with me today is Cody Garza.
What up? What up?
And Kyle Bullpit.
Hey man, how you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, minus what last week's shenanigans were. It's Wednesday. I've had time to kind of cool down and erase week 3 from my memory. I don't know about you guys, but damn.
Yeah, man. Week three was rough. We went into week 3 saying the prices were very tight that week, and it really showed with some of these outcomes.
Yeah, like the winning. Okay, I guess this is the best example I can give of how week 3 went. And one of the tournaments I was in, the winning lineup had a Case Keenum, Stephon Diggs stack.
Yeah, I think both of us were in that one, and I was pretty tilted when I saw that winning lineup.
Yeah, I was an angry man, very, very, very angry, and I think my cash game lineup score. Okay, I had Cooper, Jack Doyle, Rashard Higgins, who combined for a whopping single digits in points, and they're just about in every one of my cash games, and I didn't cash in any of those lineups, put it that way. It was pretty bad for me right there.
Yeah, I didn't have Cooper in any of mine, but don't worry, I had the other end of that. I had Derek Carr in a few of my lineups, so he put up the 7 points. I don't even think he made his money back for what he was worth. And of course, I was one of the many players that played Jay Ajayi, so that one burnt me as well. And then pretty much all of my cash and then a large amount of my GPPs, I had Doyle in there just to get that value play to be able to pay up at some other positions. So that did some damage to my cash this week.
Yeah, and I was in the same boat. I had a lot of Ajayi. I had the Jack Doyle, I had Higgins, and all the cash plays just did not play out this week how they were supposed to. It was a real big letdown, but it happens. There's always one more entry, right?
Always one more entry, and that's where we're here today. Honestly, normally we'd spend a lot more time talking about the recap of the last week, but it is a fluke, guys. If you lost money, it happens. This was just one of those weeks. The NFL was kind of like recorrecting itself. We got trolled. I mean, after watching the London game where the Jags won 44-7, I just kind of knew the week would be a giant troll. So let's exit out of our memories and let's look forward to week 4 of the season. So we're going to do a little bit different format. This is only the third episode of our short podcast journey. So we're kind of trying out new things, but I think what we're about to do today is going to be something we're going to lock in for the future. And I think it really help benefit everybody listening. And we're essentially going to create a lineup right here on the air, straight from scratch. We're going to get input of everybody. And with our input, you're going to get our analysis of kind of like, it's only Wednesday, but like the first look of what's to come. And we're going to be playing the DraftKings main slate. So a couple of things with the main slate is it's not going to include the New Orleans-Miami game, which is the 8:30 London game. And it doesn't include, for some reason, the main slate this week does not have the night game, which is the Seahawks-Colts. I think that's because the Seahawks are projected like 14-point favorites. That'd be my biggest guess as to why they just took that off. So we're just going to do the slates of the noon games all the way up to the end of the afternoon games.
Yeah, I've listened to a few people talk about that. I really don't know why they took that off the slate. I want to read about that.
I'm sure someone from DraftKings corporate is going to release something because I've never seen that before in the 3-4 years I've been playing.
So personally, do y'all like that or do y'all hate that?
I hate it. I love the little excitement you get from the night game. Like last week, I was saved in some tournaments because I had a Kirk Cousins, Chris Thompson stack. So
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. If I have a piece of the late game and I watch my cash grow as that game goes on, I love it. But if I'm on the other end and didn't touch the late game, so I just watch my ranking fall as the game goes on, I hate it. some kind of mixture on it.
Very, very true. It's a double-sided sword right there.
Oh yeah.
But we don't got to worry about that right now. So on our episode later on in the week that we'll release Friday night or Saturday night, we will go over a little bit of exposure to the New Orleans Miami game, the London game, as well as the Monday Night Football game, just for people like myself who play, like the primetime slate, which is the Sunday night game and the Monday night game, or people who are going to play the Sunday early all the way up until Monday. But for now, we're just going to stick to that noon to afternoon games. So let's go ahead and just take it from the top. Now, normally when I build lineups personally, I like to start with the biggest value play, but it's still pretty early in the week, so it's kind of hard to discern who's the most valuable. So we can just start straight from quarterback. And with quarterback, I think right off the bat, one of the most appealing players to me this week is going to be Deshaun Watson for 5,100. The Texans are going up against the Titans, and they are at home. So I always love the home factor when it comes to quarterback. He's in a comfortable situation. And Deshaun Watson just has that running ability that you cherish so much. That 2015, that's what made Cam Newton so good, was he could score a rushing touchdown just about every single game, get 50 yards, plus air out the ball. And if you watched last week, Deshaun Watson was 22 for 31 for 300 yards against the Patriots. Now, I know the Patriots defense isn't all that, but that's still Tom Brady and the Patriots, so that's something you got to respect from a rookie quarterback. So what about you, Cody? What are you feeling at quarterback right now?
At quarterback, I am going to be all over Trevor Siemian. He's playing at home. They just got beat up on the road, and I think he's in a great bounce-back spot. I know he can air the ball out. I'm hoping that Derek Carr can put up some points, and Simeon will just start to air it out to Sanders and to Thomas. I actually think he'll have a pretty big game. I'm predicting 3 touchdowns for maybe 250, and at his current price tag, I believe it's 5,200. You can't really beat that. So he'll be high on my list for this week, and definitely be in some GPPs for me.
I like both of those plays. I like the cheaper aspect y'all are taking. I really like Watson this week. I do think that's going to be a good play. Last year, the Texans, obviously I know it wasn't Watson, but they are one of the teams that their home road split it's a real trend. They were 7-1 at home. The overall team plays better when they're at home. This year, obviously, when they kicked off the season against Jacksonville, that trend did not hold true. But I do think that's a real trend. So I really like that play, that the Texans play better at home. I don't know. I'm kind of torn this week on my QB position, but somebody I'm really looking at, this would be having to pay up at the QB, but it's Russell Wilson. They are at home against Indy this week, and I mean, everybody saw what a rookie Deshaun Kaiser, he was able to put up some points against Indy last week. So I do think that's going to be a really good pay. Yeah, you're going to have to pay up, so we're going to need to find some value in the rest of our lineup. But this is one of those spots where I do think it's worth paying up for a QB here.
I do like the Russell Wilson call, but he's not on this slate.
Oh, he's not?
No,
I need to get off.
They took off the Sunday night. Yeah, it's trippy. I know. It's very
Man, of course we had all those flooding. We're here in Houston. We had all that flooding. I'm back to my real job finally after 5 weeks. I just don't think my brain is all together yet.
Hey, focus on that salary. I understand, man.
It happens. Right,
no, but I think
your running back pick then.
I'll still give my quarterback pick. I do think. Actually, I'm going to stick with Leo on this one. I think I'm going to ride the Watson train as well. I'm going to pay down for that.
Let's do it.
If I can't pay up for Wilson, I do like the Watson pick. Obviously, maybe give a little hint that when we get to the wide receiver stack, somewhere where I want to stack with Hopkins. So I like that play as well. With this early look during the week, I think that's a position. That's a play I'm looking at.
All right. I'm glad we're on the same Watson boat.
Yeah, man, don't feel bad. Just be like, dude, stop talking. You're on the wrong slate. I'd have been like, oh, well, I'll jump on.
Well, hey, that was some great knowledge for anybody playing in the full slate. So let's move on to running back, and I'm going to start off with Mr. White Lightning, Christian McCaffrey for 6,800. The Carolina is playing on the road against New England. So, first of all, Carolina's offense is just awful. Cam Newton
It's
has
their offense, yeah.
they're terrible. Cam Newton has not looked good at all. Calvin Benjamin is hurt. It's not anything serious, but he might miss as of Wednesday. There's still a good chance that he's going to miss week 4. Okay, so that takes out a receiving option. And if you looked at McCaffrey last week, he got 9 catches on 11 targets for 101 yards, and he still has yet to score a touchdown. So we haven't really even seen like what his ceiling is yet. And he scored 23.7 points last week. If they're going to be playing in a game where they're going to be behind and without their 2 main receiving options, I think Christian McCaffrey is well worth the 6,800 price tag, because if you're saving on quarterback like we are, you're able to splurge a little bit where it's going to matter. What about you, Kyle? What are you feeling on running back?
Yeah, no, I like that play. He's actually one of the guys I had written down in my notes. I love the volume that he receives. And playing against the Patriots, they're going to have to put some points up on the board. So I don't doubt that he's going to get his fair share. And I just still think at his price tag, like there's no way you can't play him. But somebody I'm really high on this week, I'm expecting him to go slightly less owned than he may have if last week wouldn't have panned out like he did, and that's Leonard Fournette. Jacksonville is playing at the Jets, and obviously, I mean, a lot of people got burned by the Jets last week if they played a Jai, so I think that might have some people fading running backs against the Jets, but I just still don't believe the Jets are a very good team.
They are not.
So I think, and obviously everybody saw what Blake Bortles and the Jacksonville Jaguars did last week against Baltimore. I don't see that happening again. I mean, I think he's going to have to put some balls through the air, but I think this is going to get back to a more grungy, lower score, grinded out game for the Jaguars. So I think Fournette's going to be a big player in this game. I do think he's probably going to be one of my number 1 running backs, and he's a guy that I like this week.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, Fournette is going to be instrumental and key in that whole game. They're not going to want to let Blake throw that ball whatsoever. I know he had a good game against the Ravens, but like like you said, I don't think they're going to try that twice.
And I think he's got a lot of upside because right now, I mean, looking back for the first 3 weeks of the season, he's gotten 4, 5, and 3 targets per games for 3, 2, and 3 receptions. So like that's just that cherry on top for with those PPR points.
Yep. One of my picks for running back, it might be a little bit less popular, but that's kind of what you need in a GPP, and it's LaShawn McCoy. I think he's in a great spot here to really have a huge game. They're playing Atlanta, so you know that they're going to put points on the board, and LaShawn McCoy is pretty much the only good player on that team besides Tyrod Taylor.
Very true. Very, very true.
And I mean, the theme for the Falcons is when you play a pass catch running back, and LaShawn McCoy is great at catching the football. So, and he already gets tons of catches. So, I mean, I feel like he'll go a little bit more under owned because he hasn't had that huge game yet. And I think he's in a great spot to kind of just break out and have a huge game and win someone a lot of money. And I'm hoping it's me.
Yeah, the projected ownerships I'm looking at, even though he's priced at the number 2 running back of the week, he's really only in the top quartile for running back. So yeah, I do think there's going to be some value there with him being a little bit under owned, even with his price tag.
Yeah, his 8,400 price tag. Like as far as me, as soon as I saw this matchup, I was thinking McCoy too. But looking at his price tag, it's kind of like last couple of weeks paying up for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's been pretty low owned at around the same 8,800, 8,400. So it's going to be kind of one of those picks. His ceiling as of this season has been 24 points. So with 8,400, you almost need him to do that much. But as far as being his ownership, I don't see him being owned anything above like 16%, 15% in tournaments.
And
So,
I feel like at his price tag, that people will want to pay down for Zeke or Todd Gurley or pay
right.
up for Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
He's kind of just in between, and he's not that attractive.
I agree. So that he
I
has a
prefer
chance
him.
to make you some money. So I'm gonna cut LaShawn McCoy's salary in basically half and go with a slightly. You can go with just as wild as a pick. And I think for my running back two position, it's going to be someone that's going to be able to save us a lot of money for these receivers because I haven't seen a whole lot of separation in receiver prices. And this pick's going to be good old Buck Allen for Baltimore. Right now, he's only at 4,700. And if you only paid attention to last week, he only got 7.8 points, but that's because they got, for some odd reason in the universe, they got blown out 44-7 against Jacksonville. But even in that game, he saw 6 targets, got 5 receptions, saw 8 carries, easily outpaced every other running back. A lot of people are going to say, well, look at Alex Collins. He did great on the carries he got. Well, Alex Collins got all that in garbage time. When you're kind of just playing off on defense, you don't really give a fuck about the game, okay? So I think Buck Allen's in a great spot against the Steelers in a rival game at home that for 4,700, like I said, you can save. And his ownership, I think, is going to be very, very low considering you can pay up a lot more and get – you can go down and get a Theo Riddick or pay up a little bit more and get someone like C.J. Anderson or Joe Mixon, who I think are both going to be pretty high owned this week.
Yeah, I agree with you on those guys going to be pretty high owned. But even with that, I mean, looking at this lineup, I think when you're making a GPP lineup, it's okay to have some guys that are cash. You need to go contrarian in other places. But one place this week, and even in my GPPs, that I'm going to go with a more chalky play is actually Joe Mixon. I do like him this week. He's still only 5,700, and he's showing with this new offensive coordinator that he's becoming that premier back. So I still think he's way too cheap with the volume that it's looking like he's starting to receive. So, I mean, we only have a 1 week sample size with this new offensive coordinator. But, I mean, if you look up his stats, I think this is going to be an easy, solid play. He had double the attempts, the rushing attempts that he had in either of the first 2 weeks. And he still had the receptions and targets that he's been getting. So I think that's going to be actually a really good play, and it's somebody that I'm plugging in.
I like it. I like it. He definitely can
I'm just
explode on the scene.
I'm just hoping he gets this same volume and is able to punch one into the end zone, and I think he's going to have some really good value for his price.
Yes, sir. I'm going to agree with you 100%. I'm definitely going to have him. He's actually the first person that looked appealing to me to cash games as far as running backs go. So he'll be in a good amount of my lineups.
Yeah, just on a side note, for this lineup, I'm not playing this guy, but I do like how you said C.J. Anderson, because I do think people are going to want to play all of the wide receivers against Oakland because they're expecting a shootout. But, I mean, Denver's defense is pretty solid. So, I mean, you never know. This might actually be, I don't want to say a low-score game, but a lower-scoring game where Denver's trying to just run down some of the clock if they can get some kind of lead on them. So he could be a tricky play. The only thing you got to watch out for is who's actually going to be the guy carrying the ball.
Yeah, very, very true. I mean, I feel like Oakland, I don't know. Oakland, they need to do good this game. Their offense does.
Yeah, this has got to be the week they turn it around. I'm not. This is the week, but I mean, they had a very poor performance in prime time. That's just not the area that you want to really have a dud game, and that is exactly what happened to them last week.
Yep. All right, Cody, what are you feeling?
For my running back two, I'm actually going to go back up kind of on the high end, and I'm going to get Todd Gurley for 7,800. I think he is in a good spot. He continues to perform each week, which is kind of crazy when you consider all his pass and it's Todd Gurley. But I think the Dallas and Rams game is going to be high scoring. I think they're going to go back and forth, and he's involved enough in the pass game to where he will be a factor even if they're down or if they're up. And when they get in the red zone, Todd Gurley sees plenty of attempts and opportunities to score the ball, and I think he's going to take advantage of that. And I just think he is in a great spot here. And
yeah,
he actually had I think he has about the most red zone attempts out of any player in the league this season so far. So I mean,
Oh wow.
yeah. So if it's high scoring, then he's gonna get the look. So I think he's a great play right here.
And Todd Gurley's turning into one of those backs that is actually matchup or game script proof, matchup proof in the sense that, I mean, he got his last 3 games, he's gotten 7 targets, 4 targets, 6 targets, plus 28 carries, 16 carries, 19 carries. So even if they do get behind on Dallas, they're not going to take him out and put in somebody else like they would take out a Jay Ajayi for the Dolphins if they were losing by a lot.
Yeah, and see that kind of stat line right there is what I'm hoping Joe Mixon kind of turns into a guy that gets the 18 to 20 carries, but then also 5 to 8 targets.
And that's so crucial in DraftKings being a full PPR site. You need those backs. That's why both my backs, Christian McCaffrey and Jarvis and Buck Allen, they're catchers. They catch the ball a lot. They have a chance to score on runs, but their primary source of points is going to be catches. And speaking of catches, let's head on to wide receiver.
Good segue. Good segue. I like it.
You like that? It's getting better, man. I'm getting better. So with wide receiver, right off the bat, the first person I'm going to go with is Keenan Allen against the Eagles for 7,200. I don't think his price jumped at all.
I don't think so either, man. And they're at home, which is very shocking. I guess because he didn't have the full-on 10 targets and 100 yards, they're like, nah, we can't move you up.
Yeah, I don't get that at all, but hey, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to ride it out.
I'm going to play that every week. He's at that price. I just feel like DraftKings is not valuing him as a high wide receiver 1 when I just think in all reality he is. It's a great play.
I agree. I think they're just waiting for him to get hurt again. So
yeah.
They're too
so they know they didn't burn anybody that they had to pay $8,500 for a guy that got hurt in the second quarter.
Exactly. But right off the bat, that's the first person I'm definitely going to pay for, especially against the Eagles secondary. I'm a huge Eagles fan, but we're bad in the secondary.
They're hurting right now. They've got some injuries, yeah.
Yeah, but if anything, we don't like to get burned over top. So someone like Keenan Allen, he likes to run a lot of shallow routes, catch the ball, run after the catch. He can easily have a field day. 12 catches, 120 yards, maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, as soon as he gets that big breakout game with the TD, man, I bet you his salary jumps $1,000.
100%.
I'm banking on that.
All right, so Kyle, since you're speaking, who are you feeling?
I honestly I didn't play Christian McCaffrey. I went with Joe Mixon because you already said him. I'm going to go with 2 guys right now because one of my wide receivers is also going to be Keenan Allen for all of the reasons you already mentioned. So I'll just jump over to my next one. A guy I like this week, and this is in the Minnesota-Detroit game. I'm going to go play back on Adam Thielen. I'm risking it because I'm not sure if Case Keenum is going to have another game like that. I've been a Texans fan, so I've watched him play in the past, and I do understand he loves to throw the ball. He's going to he forces the ball to your receivers. So I'm kind of banking on that to happen in this game because I do also think that Detroit is going to put some pressure on Minnesota. I know Minnesota's got a good defense, but I think Matt Stafford, I almost called him Sam Bradford. Matt Stafford can put some pressure on him, but a guy I like, so I'm going to fade Stephon Diggs just for the fact of Darius Slay at cornerback. And I'm going to play Adam Thielen. I think he's going to be targeted a lot this game, and he's only at 5,800, so I do think that gives me some opportunities to spend a little bit more money for guys like Keenan Allen at 7,200. So I like that play this week a lot.
I'm with it.
Right there with you, Kyle, because he is also one of my picks for wide receiver. He is in a good spot, and I'm pretty sure that Slay will be on Diggs, so Thielen should be able to just run free. He's still priced super low. I don't know why they haven't kind of priced him up yet. I guess because he hasn't had the touchdowns yet. But, I mean, I'm all here for it. I think this could be the game where he breaks out for 2 touchdowns.
I agree, and it always – go ahead.
Yeah, and I also just think that he's just too cheap. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and they're at home this week. They're at home this week, and I mean, in general, if I have a choice, I'm going to play the guy that's at home. So that's just another reason why I'm high on him this week.
I'm with it on both of y'all right there. So there's 3 receiver positions. We kind of given some high price receivers. I definitely want to hit on somebody that maybe has some value and it's definitely only tournament play, but still staying in that same game with Adam Thielen, just going on the opposite side of the ball. That's going to be Marvin Jones Jr. for just 4,000. So I'm picking this play because I haven't looked at what corner is going to cover who, but I'm guessing Xavier Rhodes is going to be on Golden Tate. That would be my guess. If I was a coach, I'd put Xavier Rhodes on Golden Tate and let Terrence Newman cover Marvin Jones. So if that's the case, then I can definitely see Marvin having a game where he's going to get – last game he got 6 targets, only caught 3 balls for 24 yards. But if you can get the same amount of targets, maybe a red zone look and a touchdown, he'll easily make value for 4,000, and it still allows you to save up and get someone else just as high priced as Keenan Allen.
Yeah, they got Galladay down there as well. Do you like him in this situation as well? Or are you kind of taking a gamble on Jones over Galladay, or what's your take on that?
I'm taking a gamble more on Jones over Galladay. I know Galladay is way more freakish athlete. If you watch him in preseason and even the first game of the season, he was making plays. But I just think, again, a tough game on the road against Minnesota. I mean, you saw what they did to a Bucs defense that was not as bad as they looked. I just think that Matthew Stafford will throw to somebody he has a little bit more chemistry with.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
so somebody I wanted to – oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I keep cutting you off, man.
I'm getting too excited.
But just real quick, my value play is going to come from that Chargers and Eagles game. I'm going with Travis Benjamin at 3,900. I think he is in a good spot here to get some deep balls, maybe catch a touchdown. The Philly defense, I mean, just like you said, Leo, it allows tons of passing yards. They're not very good in the secondary. And with Phillip Rivers coming off of that loss, I think he's going to be looking to throw the ball and throw it a lot, especially if Melvin is limited or not 100%. I think Phil is going to take his game over, and he likes to hit Travis deep. And I think if he does that 4 or 5 times, he'll get 100 yards and probably at least 1 touchdown. And at 3,900, I mean, he's going to pay himself off times 5. So
that's a great pick
for GPP.
I can see that Eagles Chargers game being the highest scoring game on this slate. I think it was, what was the over under is 48, 47.5.
Yeah, Eagles Chargers were looking at 47.5. So I agree with you there. That game could easily go over that score.
Yeah, so Travis, if you wanted to, you could do a tournament where you put Chargers, you stack Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, maybe even Tyrell Williams, and just watch them points stack up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So I've got 2 guys I'll talk about now. Since we paid down on Watson and I paid down on Mixon and didn't really go too expensive with Adam Thielen, like my other wide receiver. So let me backtrack. Some of the other play areas I like to gain value is in my tight end and defense. So it allows me to pay up at my other wide receiver position. This guy, I mean, he's questionable right now. He's in the concussion protocol, but he was limited in practice, meaning he actually did practice some this past week. But somebody I like is Sammy Watkins. They're at Dallas, but I mean, he had that performance last week that really showed you what kind of a receiver he is. He was 6 for 7 with 106 yards and 2 TDs when they played against San Francisco. I don't think Dallas has that great of a defense. There's nobody that scares me that's going to be covering Sammy Watkins. He's still only priced at $5,900, so he's still relatively cheap. He only went up by $400 from last week after putting up almost 32 DK fantasy points. So as long as he's in the game, as long as there's no reports come out that he's going to be limited or he's going to not play at all, that he's still within the concussion protocol, he's somebody I'm pretty high on. But if you're looking for some more value, I hit on this game earlier with Leonard Fournette, but I do like Marquise Lee in this situation. Granted, they are playing the Jets. We saw what Derek Carr was able to do to the Jets. I'm not calling Blake Bortles Derek Carr, but Blake Bortles is going to have to throw the ball to somebody. He showed last week that Marquise Lee is a guy he likes to throw to. He was 4 for 7 for 65 yards. His price stayed about the same. I do think this guy may have a little bit higher ownership just because, I mean, it's one of the Jets are one of those teams like the Browns, like Indy. You just look at that team, find who they're playing against, and go pick up guys on that. I mean, anybody can project that. So I do think he's going to have a little bit higher ownership. That's a guy I do like at some value at only 4,500.
I like it. I think the game script will go Fournette, that Jacksonville defense, to limit Mr. Blake Bortles doing what he does best.
And that's exactly to your point. That's why I have Fournette in this lineup, and I was just mentioning Marquise Lee as a play.
Yeah.
My actual play in this lineup is going to be Watkins at that spot.
Yeah, I like that. All right, so let's find some value and some more pass catchers with the tight end. My tight end pick that stuck out to me the most is going to actually be targeting that Jacksonville Jets game, and that's Mr. I'm going to butcher his last name. Austin
Jenkins.
Yep, Savari Jenkins. There we go. ASF. Okay, that's a lot better.
Fuck.
Exactly. That's who right off the bat for 3,000 coming off of suspension. First game playing, he had 6 targets, caught 5 of those for 31 yards, only 8 points. That's nothing appealing at all. But considering that was his first game, now that he's had a game under his belt, he is still a freak of nature, still really young. I think he's under 26 years old, so still easily going to be one of the most athletic tight ends on the board right now. In a game where if Jacksonville is going to hold the lead, the Jets are going to need to throw it. And I think they have a lot more trust in their tight end versus these no-name receivers they have on the outside.
I think that's a good pick, too. I was actually considering him, too. But then I thought, well, if I'm going to try ASF, I might as well drop down 200 more and go with Mercedes Lewis from Jacksonville.
You going to ride that train?
2,800. I mean, at that price, if he can catch one touchdown or, I mean, a few catches and just do a little bit, I mean, he's going to pay off and it's not going to hurt you. And
that's true.
Tight end is a position where, unless it's like a Gronkowski or a Travis Kelce, I'm not going to pay up or even pay more than 3,100 for. So at 28, I think you can't really go wrong. Even if he busts, it's not going to hurt you that much. And coming off his last game, there has to be still some connection and some like chemistry between him and Blake Bortles. So I just feel like he's just in a good spot where he won't disappoint, and he could break out and have another big game. So I mean, there's not much risk, and he's a pretty safe play at 2,800.
Yeah, I like that play. Somebody I'm hitting on, and Leo, if you remember from last week, this was one of my punt plays that I mentioned. If you're looking somewhere to get a lot of value for relatively cheap and relatively low owned, and that's actually with Ryan Griffin with the Houston Texans. So obviously, if you take a step back, my lineup's going to be a Watson Griffin stack. Right now, he's 3,500. They're playing at home. Last week, he was 5 for 6 with a red zone TD. It looks like him and Watson already have that chemistry together, and I just think that he's in another good spot this week. I think the main concern is going to be around Hopkins, so I think Griffin's going to be a good play this week. I don't think he's going to be the center point of their defense, so I'm looking to have some exposure to him, and he's actually who I'm going to plug into this lineup. The only other guy I was really considering was Charles Clay. I just don't know who else Tyrod Taylor is going to throw the ball. I do think LeSean McCoy is going to get his, but, I mean, they're going to have to find somebody else to feed that ball to. I think Charles Clay could be that guy. So he's the other guy I was taking into consideration, but I think for this lineup I'm going to stick with Griffin.
Man, Charles Clay, I think every single time I've ever played him in DFS and in season-long fantasy, he just let me down. So I stay away from him as much as possible. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I've got him in season long, and I actually ended up playing him week 1 against the Jets. So I was like, oh, man, this guy's doing pretty good. So I played him again week 2 against Carolina, and he just laid an egg that week. So, yeah, he's one of those guys. He's kind of like a Kobe Fleener style person to me. I guess I just always am playing him on the bad week, but I just still think in this spot against Atlanta. They're going to need to find a way to move the ball that he could be a pretty high target. I mean, he was 6 for 6 last week again with the TD against Denver. Granted, Denver's not as great against the tight end as they are against the receiver, but I still think they're going to have to find a way to move the ball against Atlanta. So I like that play for right now. Because this is GPP, I am going to go with the Watson Griffin stack though.
Okay, I can respect that. And yeah, that's first. I just got to comment on the fact it's never a good thing if you're getting compared to Kobe Fleener.
So. Yeah, I mean he's supposed to be.
I'm sorry, Charles Clay.
Let's not go down that one again because I could just do that. I could do that one. Like I can talk about Keenan Allen on the plus side every week. I can talk about Kobe Fleener on the downside every week. It doesn't matter.
We probably could have our own podcast about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Guys we hate that have burned us too much.
Our burn list. Okay, so before we get into the flex, I know that we were talking about. You had mentioned to Kyle talking about tight end and defense, getting value there so that we can pay up for receivers. So we're gonna skip the flex real quick and just head into defense, and then come back around and finish it strong with the flex. So with the defense right now, which I think is a pretty good play. And it goes straight off of your Charles Clay pick, and that's actually the Falcons defense at home for 3,200. They're a young, hungry defense. They might get some points scored out of them, but they will create turnovers. Okay, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, this week I don't really see too many defenses that just stick out of the side. Maybe Cincinnati, you can go Jaguars, but I think the Falcons will be a little less owned with the high potential of maybe scoring a pick six or getting 4 or 5 sacks. So I'm going to roll with my Dirty Birds on their defense. What are you thinking, Cody?
I am thinking the Cincinnati Bengals. They're playing the Browns. I know they're 3,500, which is one of the more expensive defensives, but I think they will completely be worth it. There's some chance for some defensive touchdowns, maybe some special teams touchdowns. The Bengals are getting back Vontaze Burfict this week, and that's gonna be huge for their defense as a whole. DeShone Kizer, he can make some plays, and he is great at times, but he also makes some bonehead, stupid plays. And I think he'll turn the ball. I think he'll turn it over, throw some picks, probably fumble it, and I think it's gonna be a long day for him. The Bengals actually play better on the road, I feel like, than at home, and I feel like they're just gonna beat up on Cleveland just like they did last year. So I'm going to lock in the Bengals into a few of my lineups because I know it's going to be some guaranteed points there.
I think that's probably going to be the chalk defense of the week, or that's probably going to be my cash defense, though, outside of tournament.
I could see that one being really high owned. I think another one that's going to be pretty chalk is going to be the Jaguars. I mean, they're only $100 more than the Bengals, and the Jaguars are. They're a stout defense. They're gonna pressure the QB. They're gonna cause some turnovers. They're only $100 more, so I think both of those teams are gonna be significantly owned. I'm not really set exactly on which one I'm playing yet. I think it depends on which flex I'm gonna bounce back to. So I've got some notes here written about how much remaining cash I'm gonna have. But the defensive, honestly, I am looking at is either the Bengals or the Jaguars. And if I need to drop down a little bit, I think your Falcons is a great play. I like that one as well. I do have a question for you guys. Am I crazy to think the 49ers against Arizona at the bare minimum 2,200 is something you can touch?
You are crazy, but crazy wins tournaments.
I mean, it's 2,200. I mean, I could almost get – I have the remaining cash to almost get any flex player I want if I'm to play – the 49ers defense. I mean, last week against the Rams, we know that was a high-scoring game, so they put up 0 fantasy points. But before that, they played Seattle, put up 7 points at $2,300 salary. I mean, they're getting value for their price. Granted, that price is super low. It's going to allow me to pay up at other positions. I don't know. It was just a thought. I'm not saying I'm putting them in there. I actually think this is a week I'm going to run with chalk on defense. Last week I got burnt pretty bad trying to get fancy with my defense. So I think I'm going to go chalk this week on defense and just have to make that up and pay down a little bit on the flex position. But even paying up on a chalk defense, like let me just be different, go with the Jaguars since you guys have already made y'all's pick. I still have 6,500 remaining salary to pick up my flex play, and there's plenty of value options that, not value options, there's plenty of good options at that price.
Yeah, so you can work with that. You can work with that definitely. So let's lead right into that flex. So based off of my own personal picks, I got $9,600 left for my flex. So that I can do anything I want right now. I own this shit. Okay. And with owning this, I think so. Let me say it's a couple of things. One, you don't need to spend all your salary to make a winning lineup. There's been plenty of lineups that you're just kind of like, what the hell? You had like 4,000 left and you get first place in a tournament with 100,000 people. So you don't need to spend everything. And two, don't plan on spending anything. So without tweaking any of the rest of my players, I think my flex position would be what Cody had mentioned earlier when it's running backs, and that's going to be Todd Gurley. Just with his volume, with his goal line touches, with them probably going to be down in Dallas, I think he'll still get 7 targets if he catches 5 of those for 50 yards, converts one of those into a touchdown, gets a goal line touchdown. Like he will easily hit his 7,800 price tag.
Yep, I like that play. I'll jump over into mine. So I'm kind of scrolling through and kind of looking back at some of the guys we've talked about. One of the plays that I'm high on is DeAndre Hopkins with Houston, but I'm really not looking for that 3-man stack. I might try to grab it in a different lineup, but I'm going to fade it here. So I did pay up for the Jaguars defense at 3,600, but somebody I'm really high on. I wrote him down earlier, and Leo, you hit on him, and that's actually Christian McCaffrey. So I'm actually going to plug him into my lineup, and that actually pushes me over my budget. So I'm going to just drop down to, like, let's say the Falcons D to round out my lineup. So that I was able to actually get the Fournette running back, which was probably my number 1, and McCaffrey, who was my number 2. And to your point about not spending all of your salary, I think that's a good thing to note, especially in GPPs, where a lot of people are just trying to, like, okay, have the lowest amount of remaining salary, because that's obviously going to mean I have the best players that I can in my lineup, which is always not necessarily the case. Like, you're definitely, by not spending all your money, you're definitely going to just inherently have some contrarian picks in there.
Absolutely, and that's how you win some tournaments. That's how you win them.
What you got, Cody, man?
I guess I'm next up. Yep. All right. So my flex pick is going to be Des Bryant. I think he is a good spot. I like his price. I like that he's been kind of overlooked and hasn't gotten that much attention. He's had some bad cornerback matchups. The Rams, they're at the bottom of the league in defense. He's seen 7 red zone targets in the past 3 games. He gets more fantasy points in domes. He does better at home. And he's been taking a lot of heat and a lot of criticism lately from the media, asking him if he's still good, if he's still a Pro Bowl player, if he still considers himself elite.
So much shade thrown by the media.
So much disrespect.
So much.
And I'm pretty sure that Skip Bayless is even trying to kind of goad him into having a huge game, because this is a little side note, but on Undisputed, he always talks down on Dez, saying that Pierre Garçon is better than Dez, and that Dez is just trash now. And Dez is a big watcher of that show, so I'm pretty sure he's just trying to motivate him into having a big game. Tremaine Johnson is going to be the corner. I mean, and he's a good corner. He's no slouch, but we just saw him get lit up for, what was it, 120 or 140 yards against the 49ers.
Yep.
So I think that, given the circumstances, I think this is building up for a big game for Des Bryant, especially if it turns into a high-scoring game. And Dak has been looking good, so he's going to be airing the ball out. And I just think that Des is going to benefit huge, and it's all going to come together, and he's going to have a 3-touchdown game for 130 yards and 8 catches.
That is okay.
That's
Okay.
as bold of a call as me saying the 49ers are going to be a good value pick this week.
Hey,
Oh,
bold
wow.
wins tournaments, guys.
That is very
Nah,
true.
you're right.
That is very true. I do like the narrative with Dez. And when we talk about his touchdown he had, he drew arguably the best corner in the league. He ran through 3 defenders. He made DJ Swearinger just completely miss. I think that was DJ Swearinger. Shout out to the Texans. I think Dez his price didn't move at all because it was the Monday night slate, so none of that was taken into consideration. What's his ownership looking like on the chart right now, Kyle? I'm thinking like 22 to 28% maybe,
Let me look. Let me look for you right now.
which isn't bad at all.
Yeah, he's about like I take it. It factors in probably about the top 50 receivers, and I'd say he's probably about, let's say, 20th in that list. So top 20%.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. So that's a great spot with your flex. I'm feeling it. And
Man,
I know
back to
you
that
hate the
touchdown,
Cowboys
Leo.
too.
Top
Back,
40%.
back to that touchdown. All I could think about was that Marshawn Lynch voiceover where they're talking like so much determination though. He
Get
just
off me,
kept going.
pussy.
There was no taking that man down. He overpowered their whole secondary and just willed himself in for that touchdown.
I hope
And
that
I
guy
think
makes that
that is the
video.
kind of motivation and determination that's going to have him a huge game this Sunday.
I'm trying to win this
Hey,
tournament for you, Cody.
let
I'm trying
me
to
let
win
me
it.
let me blow you guys' minds real quick. So the projections I use, guess who they have as it's a 4-way tie, but let me see if you can guess the 4 defenses they have projected at the highest ownership.
You go first, Cody.
At the highest ownership.
Yeah. Just guess one at a
Um,
time. There's 4-way tie.
let's see. Jags.
Yes, sir.
Bengals.
Uh,
Bengals are number 5. I'm actually kind of shocked at that.
Oh my. Oh my. Okay.
um,
Denver.
Nope.
Lions.
Nope.
Cardinals.
Wow.
Yep, there you go. Cardinals was 1 against San Francisco.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
one of them.
Oh shit, man. Really? That's
I will
okay.
say I wholeheartedly disagree with
The
one of their
Titans.
picks. No, one of them they have is the Raiders. Every part of me disagrees with that. I think that
Wow.
should be the Bengals in that spot.
The Raiders at shut the front door. Are you kidding
The
me?
Raiders at
Yeah.
Mile
They're
High
above the
after what just
49ers.
happened to them.
At Denver. No, that's there you go right there. The 49ers was the 4th team. And I do believe it's one of those, it's a value play thing. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say.
people are just grabbing the bottom of the barrel so they can pay up at other positions. And I
Yeah.
don't think, and I think they're grabbing the Raiders instead of the Bills and Panthers because you don't want to play. You're not. I would rather bet against Simeon than I would bet against Matt Ryan or against Tom Brady. So I think that's why
Yeah.
they're there. But honestly, man, the Bengals should be in replace of the Raiders. But man, Arizona is not that great of an offense, and for the 49ers are 2,200. Like, I'm definitely down if one of you want to bet something against me that the 49ers point per dollar have a better game. Give me something within reason, but I'll bet again. I'll bet that.
Hey, bet that large pizza, Cody.
I would take that bet.
Who,
We will
who do
bet
you
a
want,
large
though?
pizza.
I'm down for that, but who do you want? It's got to be. It doesn't even have to be a defense. You give me a bet for any other position you like within reason.
For just straight up points per dollar.
Yes, correct.
Oh man. Give me man. There's so many options. I feel so much pressure now, but it's such easy. Let's go. I'm gonna go with let's go with Trevor Simeon.
Oh,
Trevor.
oh man.
I feel like that's such good value. Oh, damn.
All right, so it's
You know
settled.
what?
Large
I
pizza.
will go a little bit more contrarian, a little bit tougher, and I'm gonna go with Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, I've heard
Actually, I
people
like
talk
that
about
pick.
him, and I've read some things about him, and I'm definitely on the fence. I'm definitely on the fence with that one. I don't like. I mean, obviously we're here picking the Falcons D, to be a fantasy play this week. So like I don't think that's too crazy. And he's making about 3 times his salary. And with the 49ers at 2,200, just to get 3 times that value at 6.6 points, I think is doable. So yeah, I'll play that against you.
Awesome.
I'll play that
large,
one against you.
Large pizza. All right.
Where's the pizza from? That's a big thing right there.
I don't know if a lot of people have heard of Village, but that's where I want it from.
Oh,
I
Village.
don't know what that is.
Exactly.
I had the steak and cheese today.
I used to work there in high school, so I don't know. I became addicted to it. I digress.
Like, okay, let's compare that to a pizza place that I might know.
Honestly,
it's the gas station.
Yeah, something like that. A place that shouldn't sell pizza. That's kind of like
perfect.
Yeah.
But it just happens to be good.
Yeah,
it's weird. Okay, guys. So I like all the picks we had going. So let's go through each of our lineups. Everybody, grab out some notes. Grab your iPhone. Hope you don't have an Android, but grab your iPhone and write these down. Feel free to throw these in the tournaments, and then if you win that tournament, feel free to throw some stacks this way. So my main picks were Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, Buck Allen, Keenan Allen, and so I did have Marvin Jones in for 4,000, but with my flex pick and the Falcons pick, I was able to have 1,800 left over, and I actually am going to take him out and put in Adam Thielen for 5,800, just because his upside is just 1,000 times better. His floor, his upside is 1,000. His upside's a little bit better, but his floor is a lot more guaranteed. So Adam Thielen. And then I've got DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't talk about them. Kyle, you talked about him. That's going to be my stack with Deshaun Watson. And then we got ASJ for the Jets, Todd Gurley, and the Falcons defense.
I like it. I'll run through mine real quick. So yeah, I do also have Deshaun Watson. I guess I can't play Russell Wilson. I'm in the wrong slate. Yeah, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson. I'm stacking that with my tight end, Ryan Griffin. At running back one is Leonard Fournette. Like we said, I think he's going to have a great game. I think the script is in his favor this week. And then I'm taking kind of I wouldn't call it a gamble, but I'm hoping Joe Mixon, we see a lot of upside in him this week. We can see what he really can do in the pass catching with the same amount of volumes rushing. Wide receiver 1, same pick. I think we're all really high on Keenan Allen this week. Granted, I've been high on Keenan Allen all 4 weeks of the season, so hopefully it doesn't burn me like it did last week. At wide receiver 2, I'm playing Sammy Watkins. Obviously, I'm going to follow up on that injury report, see kind of where he is with that concussion. I just want to make sure he's 100% and he's not going to be held back for any reason in this game. I still think there's some valuable players I can get at 5,900, so I'm good there. Also playing Adam Thielen, hit on that tight end, like I said, Ryan Griffin. And then my flex, I did play Christian McCaffrey, and then I'm rounding that out with the Falcons D. So I do think we have a few of the same players, Leo. So hopefully one of us can hit on most of these, and then the ones where we went different can also hit.
Yep, I like it. Finishes off strong, Cody.
All right, and the best for last, and I would actually be interested in doing another prop bet for us to see whose lineup scores the highest. So what I have right now is Trevor Siemian, Todd Gurley, LaShawn McCoy, Emmanuel Sanders, Adam Thielen, Travis Benjamin, Mercedes Lewis, Des Bryant, and the Bengals defense. And I'm so confident none of you will even come close to my lineup, and I will beat each of you.
Okay, so but before you start making bets, let's backtrack. 1, y'all still owe me tequila from last week or from week 1. 2, we did have a prop bet last week, but we decided to just go ahead and cancel it due to some craziness. I still won that one though, by the way.
To foolery.
Foolery, tomfoolery, shenanigans.
Tomfoolery, yeah.
So just want to keep that in mind before you get too cocky. But of course, I'm always down to take a bet. I mean, if you play DraftKings like we do, you probably have a slight gambling problem, and you just got to accept it. So what are we betting on? Are we still gambling with our liver, or are we hitting more with our stomach? What are we doing?
Real quick, I will say, I forgot to mention this. So I talk about it a lot. You'll probably pick up that I also like to just straight bet on the games. And I did have a $50 bet for the Cowboys to cover against the Cardinals, and I did hit on that. So
Congratulations.
let's call that a cash lineup that I won some money.
That's great. All right, Cody, you got the big cojones. What are you trying to bet on? What do you want to lose?
What do I want to lose, man? Well, I'm not going to lose. I actually, this is tough. Let's bet with our liver,
Okay.
and let's do some Dos Equis, man.
Some more tequila? I already got one bottle. I guess another one's not going to hurt.
Dos Equis is.
I mean,
is,
Dos
beer,
Equis.
Leo.
Oh, I'm tripping.
Yeah, come on now.
I wasn't expecting beer. I was thinking liquor.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm cool with some Dos. Talking 6-pack, 12-pack, 24-pack,
Do a
20
12.
small bottles. 12-pack? All right.
Do a little 12. That good with you, Kyle?
Yeah, I like I'm cool with that.
Dilly.
All right, so we're gonna keep track of this one, and I can't wait till Sunday night when I can show y'all that I'll kick y'all's ass.
Yep. And then, yeah, well, sure, Kyle. I mean, sure, Cody. Sure, Cody. I was going to say some things, but I'll leave it to myself.
All right, well, that's our best. You don't want to have to eat those words later. So.
Oh man, parking tickets. That's what I was gonna relate towards.
Oh man, me and my parking ticket problem and my speeding ticket problem.
You're just going through a rough patch. It's all good though.
Yeah.
That's why there's one more entry to get you out of it.
That's why I'm going all in GPP this week. Just kidding.
Don't do that, guys.
Oh.
Cash is how we make the money. So,
jeez, not last week.
Hey, like I said, we forget last week was not real. It went week 1, week 2, now it's week 4. Okay, there was no week 3. That was.
I already running through this feel better about the prices and the players I'm playing than I did last week at any point. Even after I did my full research, my full diving into each position, my full team breakdown. I already feel better this week, and this is our early week gut call look.
I can agree on that one. Do you guys have any last minute thoughts?
Oh, we didn't touch on some of our punt plays. Maybe next Tuesday when we kind of do the recap of the week before, we can kind of talk about some of those flyer players that we liked. But T.Y. Hilton, that was another one of my flyers. I was 2 for 3 on my flyer picks. I was T.Y., Ryan Griffin, and then Darren Sproles was my third, but he got injured. I just wanted to bring that up.
Not only did he get injured, he got destroyed.
He broke his wrist and tore his ACL. What kind of?
He gave it man.
His wrist or his arm?
His arm is what I saw.
I thought it was his arm.
His arm,
ACL and arm.
Jeez,
that's rough. That's rough.
I wonder what you feel more. Do you feel like your broken arm or your ACL, or are you just there just numb?
I bet you just don't feel anything. But
that's terrible. I hope he's okay.
A shot of adrenaline. That's all you feel. Me personally, tearing my ACL was the worst pain possible. But I've never broke my arm, so I don't know.
Being a Phillies fan, does that make you like what's his name? Clement? Is that it?
Corey?
Yeah.
I did. I liked him in college a lot, and he's doing decent in preseason. Nothing about him is flashy to me. He reminds me of Isaiah Crowell or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, he put up a TD last game. He had some rushing attempts, but I always don't like to just look at that and say, oh man, he put up a TD. This is a guy to play, because no team prepared for him, so they're not exactly sure what his strengths and weaknesses are. They haven't seen any tape.
Exactly.
So I always like to get a little bit of a sample after a team knows that a guy's going to play, so they make sure to watch some tape on him and things like that and game plan for him.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm holding back off that one. The question was kind of centered around more of my season-long leagues.
Yep. Yeah, that whole backfield is a whole other discussion we can get into this Saturday. So
yeah. Them and Denver's would be another one.
Yep. And we will all touch base after we do a little bit more research. This was just a brief look. It's only Wednesday night. We got to wait for injury reports and all that. But if Cody or y'all don't have anything else to say, I think we're all good to wrap it up for episode 3 of One More Entry. I'm your host, Winter Beal. It's been fun. Dilly dilly.
All right, guys. Peace.
Later,
Yep.
guys.
Y'all have a good night and keep on researching. And can't wait to win that 12-pack, guys. I will see y'all this weekend for episode 4.